Okay, so something happened to me a few nights ago, and I haven't told anyone about it yet. But I think it's actually the reason I'm sitting here right now about to do this reading. So let me back up. I was at a friend's birthday thing, small gathering. Nothing crazy. Maybe 15 people in someone's backyard with string lights and too much food. And there was this guy there I'd met maybe twice before. Never really talked to him properly, just knew of him through the group. And at some point in the night, I caught him looking at me. Not in the way people look at you when you're talking and they're being polite. In the way where you can tell someone's been looking for longer than the moment you actually caught them. He looked away fast. Too fast. And I didn't think much of it in the moment because you brush those things off, you tell yourself you're reading into it. But then it happened again, twice more that night. And each time it was the same thing caught, immediate look away, like he'd been told not to get caught and kept getting caught anyway. I went home that night and I genuinely couldn't stop thinking about it. Not in a oh my gosh, do I like him way, I didn't even know him well enough for that, but in a what was that way. Because it didn't feel like normal interest. It felt heavier than that, more careful than that. Like he wasn't just noticing me, he was clocking something, filing something away. So the next day I sat down with my cards, not even thinking about him specifically at first. Just doing my regular pull, and the energy that came through was so loud, so insistent, that I knew it wasn't just about me anymore. I knew this was a message for a lot of women out there who felt exactly that thing I felt in that backyard. That specific, careful, almost too controlled attention. So I want to walk you through what came through, because I think a lot of you are going to recognize pieces of your own situation in this, the same way I recognized mine. Let's get into it properly now. Here's the thing I need you to understand before anything else: there's a difference between being wanted and being watched. Most readings about a crush or a secret admirer carry this light, nervous, sweet energy. Someone's into you, they're shy, they're working up the courage, cute, predictable. This is not that energy. What's coming through for this collective is heavier, more deliberate. There's a seriousness underneath the attraction that tells me whoever this is has been burned by misreading someone before. And they are not absolutely not going to make that mistake twice. With you specifically, they're not winging it. They're watching closely, almost strategically. And before anyone gets weird about that word, that is not a red flag. That is actually one of the clearest signs of how much you matter to them. Nobody studies something they don't care about. Type I felt that too in the comments if you've had your own version of that backyard moment, caught someone watching, looking away too fast, and you brushed it off telling yourself you were imagining it. I have a feeling a lot of you are about to type that. First card, Knight of Wands, reversed. Normally this card on its own is a caution sign. Reverse Knight of Wands usually means someone all talk, no follow through. Impulsive in a way that burns out fast. But that's not what's sitting underneath this energy. What I'm picking up is someone actively restraining an impulse that wants to move fast. There's a version of him that wants to just say something right now, today, get it out into the open. And he keeps stopping himself. Not from cowardice, from calculation. Every other time he's moved fast with someone, it didn't carry real weight if he got it wrong. This time it does. So that fiery, go get it energy is there. It's just on a leash, and he's the one holding it. Second card, Queen of Pentacles. This one's you. Grounded, self-built. The kind of woman who doesn't need someone else to confirm her life is good. Because she already knows it's good, she's the one who built it. And here's something I think gets misunderstood. Constantly, people assume men get intimidated by independent women. That's not quite right. What actually happens is men get intimidated by independence paired with emotional unavailability. You're not unavailable. That's the part that throws him off. You're independent and still warm, self-sufficient and still soft in the right moments. And that exact combination breaks the usual playbook. He can't charm you the easy way he's charmed other people. So he's building something new. Specifically for you. Comment new playbook if you already know you can't be rushed. If you've watched easy moves, just not land on you before. I want to see this collective representing right now. Let me explain why it's you specifically, because this part genuinely moved me while I was pulling cards. This man has options. Let's not pretend otherwise. Someone this intentional usually isn't short on attention. He's had interest before. But something about you broke whatever pattern he was used to running. The phrase that kept surfacing while I shuffled, word for word, was she's the equation that won't simplify. Every other connection, he could roughly predict the outcome. With you, there's no prediction available. And instead of that uncertainty scaring him, it's the first thing in a long time that's actually felt real to him. Third card, Page of Cups. Soft card. This is the almost said it energy. The getting right up to the edge of a confession and swallowing it back down energy. I do feel like there have been specific moments where he nearly told you, got the words halfway up, and stopped, not because he doesn't mean them, but because he doesn't trust himself yet to say them the right way. Some of you have already felt this. The pause before someone finishes a sentence. The text that clearly took longer to write than what it actually said. You're not imagining it. I'm not telling you something new, I'm confirming something you already half knew and talked yourself out of. Comment, I felt the pause, if that's happened, and you brushed it off. I want to know how many of you have been right this whole time without trusting it. Now the watching, since it's literally in the title. He studies you. And I want to draw a hard line here. Because it matters, there's a difference between obsessive monitoring that comes from insecurity and close attention that comes from respect. This is the second one. He's not checking up on you because he doesn't trust you. He's paying attention because he refuses to get this wrong. He notices how you treat people who can't do anything for you. He notices what actually makes you laugh versus what makes you politely smile. He's quietly building a complete, accurate picture of who you are before he acts. Because somewhere underneath all that restraint, he's decided you're worth doing this properly for. Fourth card, Ten of Swords, reversed. This tells me something happened before you. A version of him that got blindsided once, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly devastating. The kind of hurt that doesn't make someone bitter, it makes them careful. Reversed, this card is recovery, rebuilding, and what I'm sensing is that you arrived right around the point where he was finally steady enough to let someone matter again. Which is exactly why the stakes feel so high to him. You're not just someone new. You're proof to himself that he survived whatever that was. Type rebuilding era if you've ever sensed someone carrying something quiet like that underneath their confidence. Fifth card, the Hierophant. This one surprised me a little. Usually points to tradition, structure, doing things the established, proper way. In this context, it tells me he's not improvising. He has an actual plan in his head, not a vague, I'll figure it out eventually plan, an actual sequence. He's not going to text you something half-formed at 1 a.m. and hope it lands right. He's thinking about timing, about context, about making sure that when he finally says something, it can't be misread or laughed off or walked back later. He wants it to be undeniable. Sixth card, Three of Cups. Lighter energy finally. Celebration, friends, other people already knowing. I do feel like someone close to him already knows how he feels about you. A best friend, maybe a sibling, someone he's vented to more than once. Probably with that exact frustrated tone people use when they're completely gone for someone and hate how obvious it's become to everyone except the person it's actually about. Comment someone already knows if you have a feeling there's a person in his circle quietly rooting for this longer than you even realized he existed. Seventh card, Eight of Swords. This is the block made visible. And what I'm seeing isn't fear of you, it's fear of timing. Saying it too soon and scaring you off. Or too late and losing the window entirely. He's stuck between two versions of regret, trying to find the narrow path between them. That's genuinely exhausting to carry, constantly calculating a moment that refuses to announce itself. Let me pause here because I want to talk about something that doesn't usually make it into these readings, And that's what this is actually costing him to hold back this long. The careful, watching closely type gets romanticized as calm, controlled, easy. It's not. What I'm picking up is closer to static. Low grade, constant static underneath everything he does. He'll be in a completely unrelated conversation, and some part of his brain is still running a separate process about you. Quiet, always partially there. I think some of you have noticed this without naming it. A slight delay before he answers something you said. Him repeating something you mentioned weeks later like it never left him. That's not distraction. That's him running two conversations at once, the one out loud and the one in his head about you that never fully shuts off. Type running in the background if you've caught someone doing exactly that. Eighth card, Knight of Cups. Upright this time. Which matters because the reversed version earlier was him holding back. And this is the shift into movement. This is the moment the restraint finally breaks. Knight of Cups upright is someone writing in not aggressively, but with intention, with an actual offer, not a vague gesture. I don't think this looks like a random text out of nowhere. I think it looks like something with real weight behind it, something planned, not reactive. Ninth card, Two of Cups. Mutual exchange. Recognition. This is the card of two people finally meeting each other honestly, instead of through the careful, filtered versions they've been showing up as. I genuinely feel like when this conversation finally happens, it's not going to land as a confession out of nowhere. It's going to land like something both of you already half knew, finally being said out loud. 10th card, the Sun. And there it is. After all the restraint, all the careful watching, all the almost clarity, the moment things stop being subtext and start being said. I never get exact dates, but I get a feeling, and the feeling is soon, closer than the waiting has made it feel. Let me talk for a second about why this dynamic, the watching, the restraint, the careful plan, is actually a better sign than the fast. Dramatic version everyone romanticizes. Fast, impulsive declarations feel exciting, but they're frequently shallow, built on a few weeks of infatuation rather than real understanding. What's happening here is the opposite. This is someone deliberately slowing himself down past his own natural instinct to move fast, specifically because he wants to get this right instead of getting it quick. That's not doubt about you. That's how much he doesn't want to lose this through carelessness. People don't study things they're planning to walk away from. The watching isn't a warning, it's evidence. Common evidence, not a warning, if that reframe shifted something for you. I also want to touch on something that kept surfacing while I shuffled the sense that this connection, when it becomes real, isn't going to feel like the start of something fragile. It's going to feel like the continuation of something already quietly underway. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from wherever this unspoken thing between you has already gotten to, which, based on everything in this spread, is further along than either of you has said out loud. 11th card, Four of Wands. Homecoming energy, celebration that's rooted, not fleeting. When this finally happens, it isn't going to feel like a fling finding its footing, it's going to feel like arriving somewhere you didn't know you'd been trying to get to. I also want to be honest, this card often shows up around actual events, gatherings, something with other people present, almost like witnesses. I wouldn't be shocked if the moment things shift happens somewhere social rather than in some isolated, private moment, the way movies depict these things. Real life is messier and more public than that. 12th card, Six of Pentacles. This one's about balance, specifically giving and receiving. I want to flag this because sometimes in readings like this, all the attention goes to how much he feels, how careful he's being, and the person on the receiving end becomes almost passive in the story. That's not accurate here. Whatever exchange happens between you is going to be mutual, not lopsided, not him pouring while you simply receive. There's reciprocity built into this from the start. Type, mutual, not one-sided, if that distinction matters to you, especially if you've been burned by lopsided things before. 13th card, the Tower, reversed. Reversed tower softens the meaning significantly compared to upright. Upright is sudden collapse with no warning. Reversed is the opposite, avoided disaster. Crisis that almost happened and didn't. What I'm picking up is that there was a moment, maybe recent, maybe a while back, where this almost didn't happen at all. Some external thing, misunderstanding, bad timing, maybe even another person threatened to derail it before it became anything. And it didn't. The path stayed open. Some of you might already know what that near miss was, even without language for it yet. Comment the near miss if that's ringing a bell. 14th card, Ace of Pentacles. New beginning, but grounded. Not a whirlwind, something with substance. I keep getting the image of an offer, literally an offer. A concrete gesture, not just words. Watch for something tangible, not just a vibe shift. 15th card, Justice. Fairness, things being weighed accurately and landing where they're supposed to. This card reassures that whatever has felt unbalanced or unclear, the wondering resolves in a way that feels fair. Not dramatic, just clear. Let me sit with one more thing before I pull the rest, because I think it's actually important and I almost skipped it. There's a version of wanting someone bad that's about scarcity chasing, because you can't have. The thrill being in the difficulty itself rather than the person. That is not what I'm reading here. This isn't scarcity driven. It's closer to he had a version of what he thought he wanted, and meeting you quietly dismantled that version, and now he's recalibrating his entire sense of what's possible. That's different from wanting something just because it's out of reach. This isn't conquest. It's recognition. 16th card, Temperance. Patience, blending, two things merging slowly without rushing. Whatever this becomes isn't going to demand either of you change who you fundamentally are to fit it. It's not asking you to shrink your independence to make him comfortable. And it's not asking him to abandon the carefulness that's clearly part of who he is, just because you might want things faster. 17th card, Page of Pentacles. Slow, steady, intentional growth. Even after the Sun card moment, after things finally get said out loud, this isn't going to suddenly turn reckless. He's going to keep being who he's been this whole time, careful, deliberate, building rather than performing, which is exactly what you need given how much you've clearly had to protect and build on your own up until now. 18th and final card, the World. Completion, not an ending completion. A full cycle closing satisfyingly before the next one opens. This is the card I always hope to see closing a spread like this, because it tells me the story doesn't trail off into uncertainty. It actually resolves. Now, I want to spend real time on something before I close, because I think it's the question a lot of you are actually sitting with, even if you haven't said it out loud, okay? But what happens after? After he finally says something, after the watching turns into words. What does this actually become? Because here's what I've noticed reading for connections like this over the years. The careful ones, the watchers, the ones who take their time, they tend to be steady in a way that the fast, dramatic types almost never are. The person who sweeps you off your feet in week 1 is frequently the same person who's gone by week 6. Because the whole thing was built on a rush of feeling rather than any real foundation. But the person who watched you closely for a long time before saying anything, they already know who you are. They've already seen you on a regular Tuesday, not just on a good day. They've already watched how you handle frustration, how you treat a waiter, how you talk about your family. By the time they actually step forward, they're not stepping toward a fantasy version of you. They're stepping toward the real one, which means there's a lot less of that painful deflation that happens when someone realizes the person they fell for isn't who they imagined. He didn't imagine you, he studied you. There's nothing to deflate. So what this becomes, based on everything in this spread, is something that starts slower than you might want, but lasts longer than you'd expect. The early part might test your patience. There might be moments where you wonder if he's ever going to get to the point, where the carefulness reads as frustrating rather than romantic. I want you to hold on to this reading in those moments, because the same quality that's making him slow right now is the quality that's going to make him reliable later. You don't get one without the other. The man who's careful about how he tells you he loves you is the same man who's careful about not letting you down once he does. And I want to say something directly to the part of you that's been hurt before, because that part is listening. Even if it's quiet, I know that he's taking it slow, because he's serious can sound like a story you tell yourself to keep hoping. I know you've maybe given people the benefit of the doubt before and gotten burned for it. So I'm not asking you to blindly trust, I'm asking you to watch back. The same way he's watching you, watch him. Look for the consistency. Look for whether the carefulness shows up everywhere in how he treats you or only when it's convenient. Look for whether the plan I'm seeing in these cards actually materializes into action, because real intention reveals itself over time. You don't have to decide anything right now. You just have to stay open enough to let it show you what it is. There's also something I want to name about your own role in this that the cards kept circling back to. You are not just a passive object being studied here. The reason he's watching so closely, the reason he's being so careful, is partly because of the energy you carry. You are not easy to read. And that's not an accident or a flaw, it's a kind of self-protection you've developed. Probably for good reasons. You don't hand your whole self over to people immediately. You make them earn the deeper layers. And that quality, which has probably frustrated people who wanted easy access to you, is exactly what's commanding this level of respect and attention from him. He's watching closely because you've made it clear, without ever saying a word, that you're not someone to be approached carelessly. You set that standard just by being who you are. That's power. Don't lose sight of that. So back to that backyard, for a second, because I want to bring this all the way home. I never found out for sure what that guy was thinking that night. I'm not psychic about my own life the way I am about cards. Ironically, that's just how it works sometimes. But I think about it now, and I recognize the energy, the careful watching. The caught then looked away. That wasn't disinterest. That was someone calculating. Someone deciding whether the risk was worth it. Someone who already knew the answer and just hadn't said it yet. And whether or not anything ever comes of that particular night for me, it taught me something I needed to remember in order to read for all of you today, that the quietest attention is sometimes the heaviest. That the people who say the least are sometimes feeling the most. That a look held a half second too long can carry more weight than 100 easy compliments from someone who didn't really mean any of them. If you've had your own version of that, and I think a lot of you have, this reading is your confirmation. You are not imagining the attention. You are not making something out of nothing. There is a real, specific, deliberately careful person who has decided you are worth doing this right for, and right to him means slow enough to not mess it up. Not slow, because he doesn't care. Let him watch. You don't have to perform for it. The version of you he's already studying, the unguarded, real one, is exactly the one he's choosing. You don't have to become more interesting, or more available, or more anything. The work is already done. He already saw it. He's just working up the nerve to admit how much. If this hits something in you, comment below and tell me what landed. I read every single one. And if you already know who this is, type their initial. Just the initial. I want to see how many of you knew before I even said a word. Take care of yourselves until the next one. And trust what you've been feeling. You've been right this whole time.